Hello there. Welcome to the Viral Virtue Show, a show that promotes a culture of good character, morals, and values. I have with me beautiful people here. I'm also beautiful, by the way, but I would like to start with the ladies. So introduce yourself to us.
I'm Abiodun.
Abiodun. The short form?
AB.
AB.
Angel.
Oh, I thought you were going to...
Angelina.
Angelina.
Angelic.
Angelina.
Angelica, baby.
It's good to have you. You guys are
Depending
looking
on
very
the
radiant.
situation.
Thank
you, sis.
So what's up? How's it been with you? What's the latest with you now? I know you have so many things going on.
There's so many things. Well, but I've been doing okay, trying to strategize, get into the year with all the plans and, of course, putting God first. Yeah, so, I've been doing okay.
You know that thing we do sometimes when you ask people how you take do them, they will be like, nah, God.
Nah,
you know
God.
that
No,
summary.
But truly,
Yeah.
now God, because most times when you think about the things you have to do, you realize that, I can't do this thing.
On
It's
your
only
own,
God
yeah.
that can help me. So now God, as in like, because you can't figure out how you got to do these things or how you're going to do these things. So now God, my brother.
You
Now
know
God.
that nah, God then. People want to learn how you did it. But when you say nah, God, it just summarizes everything.
There was something my husband said when we crossed over from 2023 to 2024. He said, 2023 was a decade.
Wow.
And I was like, I agree. As in the things we did, the challenges we had in 1 year, you could have spread it across 10 years. And the summary of it was, nah, God.
God, exactly.
I think it
Because
just has
you
to do
know,
with
truly,
responsibility,
sometimes
yeah.
you cannot explain how you scale through. So, now God,
I think
my
it's
brother.
just with greatness comes responsibility. So you guys are getting better by the day. You're doing more.
Honestly,
So
it's God.
more.
Now God,
And it's just the
even
beginning,
I know,
Very soon you start
yeah.
sleeping for like 2 hours.
Osas, what's your nah, God story?
Exactly.
Okay, my God story is I've actually been sleeping for nowadays I wake up around 1, 2, 3 just like that. You know why?
We
I
told you, but you were feeling like, you
just see one small way playing somewhere by 1, 2, 3 a.m. Anyway,
now God.
that's not God. Not God. All right, so we have a topic today to address, and it's preserving your child in a sexualized world. And I'm going to say this. I heard a story recently of the transgender people saying, we are coming for your children. They said it explicitly, they were very clear, we are coming for your children. And I was wondering, how did they get so bold? Okay, and this is just a part of it. You see billboards today, you're advertising for maybe a tire and you're half dressed, half naked. Okay, but anyway.
Now the world is direct. Gone are the days when we are like, don't call it the name, don't call this, don't call this. People are direct. Like you said, they are coming for your children. We do this thing, movie nights, every Thursday. So I try to watch, if I can watch the movies they watch, or, my husband watches the movie. And then there was one really interesting animation, and they were like, let's talk about sex, baby. And most times when the children watch these cartoons, they play it over and over and over.
Again.
And so somehow it just sticks. So they are registering it in their heads. Let's talk about sex. So it's okay to just, I'm talking about cartoons for 3-year-old, 7-year-old. So they are in our faces.
Wow.
You pick up your tabs, you give them a game to watch. And have people experienced these things that it's like the
Pop-ups.
adverts? Yes, when they're adults, there are certain kinds of adverts that come,
Yeah.
and then for children too. And then I'm like, okay, there was a time I saw something really not nice, that's inappropriate, and I was like, okay, let me see that again, because my daughter was playing a game, and I was with the phone for the whole day. It didn't pop up, and then when I gave it to them
Her.
again the next day,
It popped up.
yes. So they are really, you're right, they're really direct, and they are coming for our children. They say it. Yeah.
Bring it on. We've got God.
Do you have an experience to share? Because I know she just shared one, and it's actually a lot of experiences.
For us, what we did with our children is when we got them tabs, we just got the Google family.
Oh,
So
okay.
the protection is there. You cannot download any app without me granting you permission on my phone or my device. So you have Google Family, the app, where you can have up to 4 children and 2 parents. So if they're going to download any game that you have not put there yourself, they have to ask for permission. So the alert rings wherever I am, and it says, my son wants to download an app or my daughter wants to download. I already know what their age is, and I know what's appropriate for their ages. So I say yes, or I say deny. Or even if I'm at home, they bring it to me, I'm like, nope, let me Google it first. Let me see what it's about. And then that is one major thing we put in place up to their bedtime, up to the time when the device shuts down for the day. So we have to put all the structures in place. And of course, conversations have helped a whole lot.
You know, it's really a lot. I think you said we've got God, right? You know, preserving your children in a sexualized world is really, it's a lot. But I think that God will give us the wisdom and the direction.
Yeah.
And to talk more on this topic, we have a guest. I have a challenge. I have a little problem. Now we have these two guests. Well, not this guest. We have Angel here, and we have a guest coming up, Modupe. They have English inside their mouths. They have English inside their mouth.
The deep ones.
So we have a lot to do. We need to, you know,
can do all things.
Also,
true.
Yodo and I studied the same course.
My brother,
in the same
you know that
university.
But you know that
different
I think
times.
she's just been humbled.
So
then.
she
That's-
can't claim
No,
to
but
have
you know that
English.
there are some people that the English enters
Yeah,
them,
it's-
and some of us
it's
we
just
need
trying
to.
I
to-
think
So
my
yeah,
father would
top
have
up.
asked for a refund. When I came back home.
So we'll take we'll have our guest Modupe come up,
Okay.
but before then we'll have Angel give us 5 things. So listen and
Right.
learn and try to hear, because the English is about to hit you.
Please don't listen to her. Okay, 5 things to note while preserving your children in a sexualized world. Number 1, encourage open and age-appropriate communication about sexuality from an early age. Like I said, that you have children that are different ages. The way we approach it for 2-year-olds is different from the way you approach it for 7-year-olds and teenagers and beyond. Create a safe space where children feel comfortable asking questions and discussing their feelings. This helps build trust and ensures they receive accurate information. True?
Sure.
2, educate children about personal boundaries and the importance of consent. So you can't hug me without my consent. Just because you're my friend doesn't mean you can go beyond certain boundaries. Teach them to recognize and assert their own boundaries while respecting the boundaries of others. Emphasize the concept that nobody has the right to make them uncomfortable. Before coming to work today, I was telling my son, because my son is 13, he's in SS1, and for those of you who know him, he's not very tall. His sister, who is 11, is more taller than him. And so it makes him feel smaller. And as he was leaving the car, I said, hey, Jesse, it's not about the container, it's about the content.
Beautiful.
So we did
That's-
this and he left. So you need to let them know it's about what's inside of them. So nobody has a right to make them. In fact, if anybody makes you feel small, it's because you allowed them.
Exactly.
So nobody has a right to make you feel small without or less without your content. Number 3, be mindful of the media content your children are exposed to,
True.
including television, movies, and online platforms. Set age-appropriate restrictions and discuss the portrayal of relationships and sexuality in the media. Set guidelines for screen time and types of media they can access. The other, it was you who sent us alerts about some cartoons we were used to watching
yes.
before that suddenly had
Been polluted.
introduced transgender themes into it. So what happened is that once I got home, I was like, henceforth, this program is banned, this channel is banned, this channel you can watch this, this, and this, you can't watch this. So you have to, we had to make it clear to them, and they know. So even when they go visiting their cousins or their cousins are around, they notice, they know, mommy says we can't watch that. So that's one of the things we did. Teach children about online safety, including the potential risk of inappropriate content and online interactions. Set guidelines for internet usage, monitor their online activities, and use parental controls to restrict access to explicit content. Finally, ground your discussions on biblical principles. Use relevant scriptures to guide conversations about purity, respect, and the sanctity of relationships. Joseph is always a good example. Daniel is always a good example. Jesus is always a good example that your children can learn from.
All
Thank
right,
you.
that was a lot. That
Very
was
detailed,
good.
very
That was good.
detailed,
So
yeah.
let's go on a break. When we
will
come
be right
back,
back.
we'll meet our guests.
thanks for joining us on Heart to Heart.
It's good to have you both on the program.
It's our pleasure to be here.
What is the truth? I've been singing for as long as...
A program that allows you into the world of your favorite artists as they share their personal stories with you.
And we realized on the second day it wasn't improving.
And there are many people who have been there and have compromised.
No matter what I face. People go from admiring these people and forget that these people are really human.
I wanna say thank you. The program gives you the opportunity to really see the person behind every performance you see.
See how we changed my life. See how we washed me clean.
Watch episodes of Heart to Heart on this channel.
Welcome back, guys. Still on the Viral Virtue Show. My name is Osaz. I didn't say it the first time, so I just had to say it now. So people don't say, what's the name of this uncle here? Okay, so we have a guest in the house. I'd like you to introduce yourself. Just tell us what you think we should know about you. And maybe a little more.
Okay, so disclaimer, first of all, I am not an English-speaking
But you
someone.
hearing.
You know,
Let's
clear the air, okay? All right.
Okay.
My name is Modupe. Ijisheso. I'm a Yoruba girl, grew up in Abeokuta and all of that. I don't know what they're talking about.
She can't even hide it.
So
She can't hide it.
Don't know what you're saying. So, Osas,
Okay.
I think the Lord will help us as we try to.
I think he's helping us, really.
He's helping us.
But she
yeah.
can't even hide it. She's still speaking.
Exactly.
She can't be rash. She can't be rash. She's still speaking. But it's good to have you. It's good to have you on the show.
Yeah.
It's awesome to be
Good to
here.
have you on the show. Yes.
Welcome.
So yeah,
Thank
we have a very important subject, and it's very important because it's for we to be wiser people. I would say we have to be generational thinkers, and this has to do with children. Okay, I mean they would outlive us. Our children would outlive us. That's the prayer of every parent, and of course parents out there. So the topic today is preserving your children in a sexualized world. I would like you to define what your understanding of the word sexualized. Or a sexualized world. What do you understand by that? Yeah.
Let me clear my throat. All right. I mean, a sexualized world is a world where sex is in your face. You know, I think that would probably be the simplest way to put it. And personally, I what I find troubling is that it seems a lot of parents are, you know, hiding their heads in the sand. You know, you're not really looking at the reality of what's happening around you. The world is outside your window and it's coming in through your door, you know, and the earlier we can come to terms with that, the better. There is really no such thing as you're on the fence. Your indecision is a decision. Exactly. And every decision has consequences. You know, so if you're intentional about protecting the innocence of your children, there are consequences, you know, to that, or rewards to that. And if you're not intentional about it, there are, you know, consequences to that as well. You know, parenting is influence and it's intentional. So even if you're not the parent, I mean, even if you're the parent or something else can be parenting your children, even though they're not the ones who brought them into the world. You know, what exactly has influence over them? And I think people need to start to realize that. I mean, I've been a parent for a while. I've gone through transitions. When I first started, I was more like, you can't do this, you have to do this, you know, like, you know, time, age, experiences, they've tempered me. I'm a little more gracious, a little less judgy. So this isn't really about, oh, you are wrong, you're right, you know, but basically you must see first, this is my situation or my reality. This is the decision I'm going to have to make. These are the consequences attached to that decision. And then because you understand that, you can adjust your life, you know, to kind of tailor that, right? I say that I think I'm talking too much, but let me just say
it's very comprehensive.
Yeah,
I'm actually learning a lot.
Okay, so I say every child is like a blank canvas. I think I heard her say that for the very first time.
Too.
She says it a lot, yeah? Yeah, I heard that from her. You know, it's like every child's like a blank canvas or like a blank sheet of paper, if you'd like, you know, and you paint what it is you want. So there's a masterpiece in your mind. It's something you're trying to build in your painting, right? That's intentional, you know. But I think that half the time we have splotches, we have paint, we have all the other things that are coming on that painting, tweaking what it is in our heads, and we're not paying attention to that. They're rewriting, you know, that picture or changing it into what they want it to be. And we as parents need to be intentional about hey, this is my painting, this is my child, I need it to be a certain way. And so sitting on the fence doesn't work because everything is causing a conditioning. They're teaching them something, you know, everything is teaching or tailoring them towards something. You now need to decide if what they're teaching or training or conditioning them towards is what you'd like them to do. You know, so I'll say this last one thing, and then we can I'll move to
I would like to ask Angel.
Angel. Okay, so I
actually was targeting her.
You know, and I think that as Christians, you know, something else we also need to consider, that the standards for the world are not necessarily our standards, and that media, as it were, isn't neutral. Forgive me. I know we say, you know, media is objective, you know, but it really isn't that neutral, because who you are, your perspectives, your opinions about life will filter into the content that you create, right?
True.
You know, so as a child, my daughter watched a show like at 3 years old, and they were talking about potty training and all that. Really good lesson, right? Really cool. And, you know, at the end of it, the mom kept asking, do you want to wee? He said, no. Do you want to go to the potty? No, no, no. Bottom line, he kind of weed on himself, and you know, she took him to the bathroom, cleaned him up. You know, you should pay attention. You shouldn't. It was a great show. He had learned about potty training and all that. And then my daughter says, "Mommy, he lied. I shouldn't do anything." You know, apparently the person who wrote that script, lying wasn't a big deal. You know, yeah. So as far as they're concerned, we have trained them on potty training. That's okay. But hey, your standards are different. So even though there's parental control, there's, you know, all these other things, and you have to look at those things at the real content and then the underlying meaning, you know, because a lot of times it's a lot of, you know, knowledge with it, just a little bit of poison, you know. Pandora's box is open. The knowledge of good and evil is out there, you know. So it looks good to eat, but what's inside it? You know, what are the consequences? What are the other things that it's hiding? And, you know, to start to have those conversations. Okay, I'm not talking about that anymore.
You've said a lot, you've said a lot. But before I go to you, Osas, I would like Angel. You know, I remember when I had my second baby and I was talking, you know, we talk from time to time, and you told me something. You told me what she just said about being a blank canvas. I'd like you to tell us more about that.
Okay. I just had my second child, Natasha. She was less than a week old. And I was sitting down. I still have the photograph of that day. I was sitting down, and my first, Jessie was like 1.5, and Natasha was really little. And we did this nice, I did a selfie with the three of us. And so while I was sitting there, I heard in my spirit that your children are blank canvases to paint my masterpieces on. So I wrote it. I had to send it as an SMS to myself, send it as an email to myself, so I'd always have it. So God was saying that our children are blank canvases to paint his masterpieces on. That means that we need to go back to him to know what he wants what he wants for each child. So I can't say I'll raise Jessie the way I raised Natasha, or raise Jonathan or Sean. The four of them are 4 different children with 4 different personalities. They learn they have 4 different learning styles, but it's still one message. The message of love, the message of holiness, the message of kindness, the message of you're just a Jesus clone. Jesus is your role model. And so raising them, it wasn't, oh, let's teach them this way. We were reading Luke, we're reading everything in Luke. We're reading Revelation, we're reading everything in Revelation. And it's not, okay, Daddy and I will read it separately. We're reading it together, so what don't you understand? So I remember Jessie saying, okay, well, you guys are like, I'm like, what chapter are we in? And Jessie said, I've already read up to chapter 22, but you guys are in chapter 11. And so Natasha, don't worry, this is what's going to happen later. So they're like taking, this is what God says. Then go and take it and apply it to your personality. And so when each one comes up and says, I want to be a doctor, and the one comes and says a doctor, and one says, I want to join a football club, and I'm like, hey, STEM, join STEM, that's where money is. So, but we're painting his masterpieces. He knows what he sent them from eternity into time to achieve. So when it comes to sexuality and holiness, there is no compromise about it. So it's clear. Who are your role models? And we're also blessed to be Teens Church teachers, my husband and I. And so we're like, who are your role models? And we go back to the Bible, and you're looking at Daniel, and you're looking at David, and you're looking, David made mistakes. We
Many
know.
mistakes.
David was a reject. We know. But he says, God, I've made a covenant, I will not sin. David knew how to run back to God and own up. Daddy, this is where I messed up. I'm sorry. You're looking at Daniel, no daddy there, no mommy there, no cousin, nobody. But you say, this is what they taught me from home. A boy is a boy. A girl is a girl. You do not touch. Sin is anything you think, say, and do that God does not like.
Yeah, I like the thing. Starts from
Anything
thinking.
you think, say, or do that God does not like. So I will not even think of kissing that boy on the school bus. So when the thought comes to my mind, you come and say, Mommy, how did you handle it when... Did you ever like any boy that you felt like kissing? I was like, plenty!
You know when that happened, I had a similar instance. My daughter came to me and she was like, oh, Mommy, there's this boy. And my heart froze. But I tried in my head. I was like, God, it's not a time, But my heart froze. I was like, Holy Spirit of God, what do I do at this point? What can I do? And I was like, okay, tell me about him. And she goes and she's telling me, and he does this. He makes me feel this way. And I'm like, God, help me. But somehow I was like, okay, I engaged her because I didn't want to shut her up. But by the time when she was done, I didn't say anything. The next day I was like, okay, so did you see him? What happened? But I gradually started to teach her and guide her I didn't want her to shut up, but that's it. So let's take a break. And so when we come back, we'll continue our conversation.
Hello everyone. Have you ever come face to face with a question?
Before you say I do, should I have sex?
Hopefully you'll be able to give us the answers that...
It's a young man, I see you. I prophesy that thing that kill your father will not kill you. I could not say amen because my father is still alive.
Go, Rolly. Go, Rolly. Just do it.
It's living the life.
Yes, it is.
Welcome back to the Viral Virtue Show, where I'm a guest posing as a host, Okay, so we're talking about how to protect our children in a sexualized world. And, during the break, it occurred to me that we don't protect the innocence of our children, enough. It's almost like the world system is priming children to be sexualized, So, and we, especially as Christians, need to start to think about the fact that where is their endpoint? Is that our endpoint? Because if we're not going in the same direction and we start out, the way they start out, we're going to realize that we're ending up in where they right? Okay, so for the average person, a teenager who's having sex isn't such a big deal, right? No, when I say like people who are not Christians, right?
Yes.
Sex isn't such a big deal. Like, before, having a pure heart, a pure body was a thing. Now it's like a thing of shame. Like people, suddenly are like afraid to share the fact that, they haven't had sex or anything like that. Suddenly, like, you're like the endangered species or something, so, okay.
You know what I think about that is the scripture that says, be as innocent, be as wise as serpents, but as innocent as doves. Yeah. When I knew we were coming for the show, I wanted to do like a check. So I had Jesse and Natasha with me in the kitchen. And I was like, what do you guys know about sex? So we were what was I frying? Exos. Yeah, my Exos was for breakfast. And I was like, I'm listening. I was like, well, Mommy, we already know. I'm like, okay. What have you learned? What have you learned? What have you learned? Why haven't you had sex? Like, because it's not something we're supposed to do now. And I was happy. So I said, so Jesse, how many people have you kissed? He was like, nobody. I said, why? Because they're not fine enough. He said, because it's not time. Do you understand? They know. They should know. So that when someone starts touching you somehow, you know that it's going where I don't want to go. for me, I think I told Biodun this some years back. The reason I chose to teach my children when they were as young as 2 and 3, was because, in my opinion, my parents waited 1 year too late. And I didn't want to make the same mistake. So you know how it's holiday time, where all the cousins are together, we're visiting each other, and we're just saying, this is what happened in school. And they're like, hey, come, let's teach you something new. And then we're all rushing, okay, so you guys sit down. So there's this thing called, so this is how you do it. And you know, the small ones were there, we were watching, like,
very curious.
Something new.
Then a few months later, my mom comes and says, sit down. There's something I want to tell you. I'm like, I didn't tell my mother it happened till I became an adult. In fact, until my children went for holidays in her house. I was like, okay, Mommy, something happened when we were small. We didn't tell you because we didn't want anybody to get in trouble. So please, my children should not. I don't know if you get what. So now we knew. Once Mommy had that talk with us, my brain just went, boom. Nobody touches. Nobody touches. You don't touch anybody's. You don't look at anybody's. And you know, there's that thing where it's pee break. And then children are going to the bathroom and, can I see? Man is bigger than you. He's smaller. And I'm like, did you guys ever do it? And I just said, and I'm like, Jesus. But is that why you stopped? Yes, because you said we should not touch. And don't look. Don't touch, don't look. So the next thing was, will Jesus forgive me? Mommy, will Jesus say, will Jesus forgive you? And so, you know, many times you're like, Mommy, what if Jesus doesn't forgive you? I said, it's the devil that's telling you Jesus will forgive you. Jesus already forgave you.
Yeah.
You didn't even know. Jesus already forgave you. So that's another thing. Some children are already exposed. Some children are already abused. And so there's that guilt. I can't tell Mommy because I already know something that she said is bad. Or they can't even pray. They're guilty. They go to church and they're guilty. And like I said, we deal with teens. And you see some of them, they're in church and they're withdrawn. Because there's a whole lot that has gone on that they are realizing is wrong, and they can't tell their parents.
Yeah, no open communication. Yeah.
So beyond preserving your biological children, children in your space, any child you have influence over.
I'm sorry to interject you. I've actually heard a couple of things now, and one of the things I've been hearing, or maybe one or two of the things I've heard, if I'm to underline them, will be intentionality, intentional parenting, and then creating room for open communication.
Yeah, creating an environment that
very well for open
will
communication.
allow your children speak.
Yeah. So I would like to ask. I would like you to outline. Okay, outline. Maybe you'd start. You just outline. What are the proactive steps that parents can take to guide their children? Like proactive steps to take to guide. I know you've listed them, but you want to just outline them.
She's talked about quite a number of them, and I think being the first to have the conversation.
Okay.
You know, don't let someone else or something else, be the one to train them or to talk to them about what this is about, because then you can guide the conversation. You can shape their perspective. Be the parent. Be the influence.
Would you want to give any specific age range?
No, I think that the sexuality conversation, I think she's mentioned that, like, from age 2, you're already saying these are like private parts of your body, or these are things that people shouldn't touch. You probably might not even get into things like, oh, this is how sex is to a 3-year-old. That's inappropriate. But sexuality is in stages, and at every stage you can now say, let's add on more. Okay, this is what we talked about. This is, and all that. And the reason I actually brought out the innocence question, which I'll use to answer this now, is also the fact that there are things that are causing a conditioning, in the sense that the Bible says that guard your heart with all diligence, for out of it are the issues of life. That in it, sometimes you're training people a certain way, but you're like pouring water in a basket because there's so much other influence telling them it's the other way, right? So if you're not balancing the influence or their exposure, it's going to be, because a good man out of the good treasures of his heart will bring forth good things. I like how the NIV puts it. He says that a good man out of the store of good. Like, so it was stored there, you had to put that in there very deliberately, what's going in there, because then out of that, it will come forth good things. But if you fill them up with, I know a child who was talking to me, I mean, she was maybe like 12-ish, about, about muscles and, it's a heart, and I'm like, wait, how did you get that kind of thing? But invariably, there's shows that she watches that's talking about crushes, that's talking about, and it's not that in itself is evil. You get, but invariably it's coming in at you and it's shaping your perspective.
Wow.
You know, media doesn't only inform about culture, it shapes culture, it influences culture, it amplifies, you know, it controls perspective. So if you just let all the other, you know, junk come in and then you put a trickle of the word and you go like everything is gonna be okay, Hakuna Matata. You know, so I do think so protecting or, you know, being proactive is knowing how much information is required or needed per time, and how we need to so you can hide your children behind your skirts forever, right? You know, but you can protect them, and I think that, okay, one last thing I would say is that you also need to teach them how to use the sieve early. Teach them how to analyze content early, because you're not going to always be there, but that they can see and recognize that, okay, that's inappropriate. Okay, that's wrong. Oh, that's... So even though you're not there, they're making their own decisions, you know, based on the things that they've been taught, you know, because, yeah, they're going to need that whole lot.
I'd like to give an example. You know, when my husband started it, I was a little bit edgy, but I got to see what he was doing. So our movie nights, we do that every Thursday. And so there was a particular movie, I can't remember the name he brought, and I was like, these things are not, you know, but I was like, let them watch it. Well, you know, holding my heart in my hand, I let them watch it. And when we were done, we all sat down, because after the movie, we spent 30 to 1 hour together. And it was like, so what are the things that are wrong here? They were not really bad, but they were just things, they were not our standard. And I was so pleased. And I was so happy, you know, Thelma and Tehila, they were saying, this is wrong, this is wrong, this is wrong. So he kept asking, so why is it wrong? You know, because he said we can't keep them under our skirts forever. They go to school and they come back. Deliberately, I sit them down, okay, so what's happening? What's this person saying? And the things they gist me, you know, it's scary. So with that, I think that's also a good way to go. Expose them to the little they can handle at per time. And then, you know, reason with them.
Can I add something here?
All right.
And I would say, seize every opportunity you have to teach. You won't be with them at all times. We work 9 to 5. There's actually 9 to 7. Because at the end of the day with traffic, you're probably getting home like 7 p.m. and you're tired and all of that. Well, you're driving out on a Saturday, for instance, and you see a billboard or an advert pops up. You use that opportunity to teach, to let them know. And I will never downplay the place of family devotion. Use a good devotional. Yes, there's a place of, let's say, what are we reading today? But there are trusted sources of devotionals that you can use for general family devotionals, for general family devotion, for the teenagers, for the early years. So there's something for each of them. And I've come to realize that there's always an opportunity in even the least. There was a day I had to go to work with public transport. And I was really, really upset because I don't even know what happened. My husband did something. You know how husbands can be annoying sometimes. Husbands. Love you, sweetheart. So my husband did something and I had to go to work with public transport. And you know, it was written all over my face. And I was in this taxi from Berger and the man was like, Madam, what is it? I normally see you passing, but your face is not usually like this. So I couldn't open up to him. This is a total stranger. He's a taxi driver. But I couldn't pay him because I think network was down. So he took my number. And from there, he started sending me SMSs. Now, Madam, don't worry. Every marriage has issues. The Spirit of God told me. From there, my sister, I'm just checking on you. And so the next time I was leading devotion, I think it was like 2 days later, and I was like, see, there's temptation everywhere, my children. You know, this taxi driver, I gave them the gist, and I was like, is that person is that guy in your class, Natasha, that's always rubbing your hair? Is that guy in your class that's always recognizing that temptation can come from anywhere? Joseph Boss's wife was the one. He had probably been there. So he sees every opportunity to tell them about holiness, purity, grace, faith, the tenets of our faith, basically. That's what I think will really help.
Wow, that's really nice. Actually, I was going to talk about creating an atmosphere, but I think we'll have to go on a short break at the moment. We'll see you shortly.
A very warm welcome to everyone watching. We show you life-changing stories, those you have helped through your generous giving.
say thank you to CBN.
You provided free surgeries for the helpless, clean water wells for many communities, empowered youth, women, and widows. For more heartwarming and life-transforming stories you made happen, watch episodes of You Were There on Flame TV.
Still on the Viral Virtue Show, we've been talking about the subject, preserving your child in a sexualized world. And it's really been informative.
Yes.
You ladies have done so well. So I spoke about creating an atmosphere. I really wanted us to highlight a couple of things we could do to create atmospheres for these children. So Modupe, I would like you to highlight some of the things that we could do to create atmospheres for them.
Well, I think they've talked about quite a number of them. You want me to repeat those, or just
Maybe just add, consolidate on them.
Okay, just consolidate on that. I do think we need to be available. Okay. You need to be available, and I think that we miss a lot of things because we're not available. So, do you notice when something is off? Do you notice when they start acting differently? Are they more withdrawn than usual? Are they, are they volunteering half information? Sometimes I ask a question and my daughter goes like, do I have to tell you that? I'm like, yeah, girl, you do have to tell me that, so being able to, because sometimes she's talking and I don't need to ask, I'm like, I can see you're holding back, like, what's up? What's going on? Well, and then all the other information comes spilling out. So I do think, we need to be available. You need to be present,
Present.
Yeah,
yes.
So, someone's talking, I'm like, I'm listening. I'm like, well, you're going to miss a whole lot because communication isn't just verbal, it's also non-verbal. And, so we're missing.
Sorry, can I just quickly say something? I have two friends who live in different countries from their family. School and all of that. One is in the UK, one is in Canada, and their families are in Nigeria. But they make it a point of duty to be present, like she just said. So every evening, tell me about school today. Have you done your homework? So they're like, yes, daddy. Okay, take a screenshot. And they're going through it. And even the female, she's like, okay, so what did your teacher do? Did you get in trouble? What about, and you know about the classmates. So that's being present. So it's easy
and to be present, you need to be deliberate
like,
in all you do.
Can I have time to talk with mommy alone? So the other siblings leave. And then they can talk. So you can be present even if you're not in the same city.
Thank you so much. This episode has been so great and so packed and so serious. So let's play a game. Let's play a game. It's called Location Charade. So we're going to partner. Both of us.
Why? Can't I pick my partner? Why you?
As the guest.
This is okay. All right, it's fine.
No, it's okay.
You're a winner. Let's do this.
Okay.
We win them.
All right.
Finish
so
it. You win them. Win them.
I think I'm having a rethink. Can I partner with Modupe? All right, so Angel, you pick a card and try to describe it to me. You can speak. You can say whatever you want to say, but don't call the word.
Okay.
And you have 30 seconds.
It's a metal box that takes you from one floor to another.
A lift.
Another
an elevator. Ooh.
So we have 2 trials. We could actually try twice. Okay, that's good.
You have 30 seconds.
30 seconds.
I want to change my mind, Angel. You know what? So I have to pick. Can he do all the picking?
No.
Okay.
Shy. Holy Ghost, help your child here. Okay. Let's go. This one that you're taking it out.
No, sorry. I was
showing her.
No, I
rather.
didn't say it anyway. Hey.
Okay, it's a place where students go every day.
School?
It's a place where they go every day. They sit down.
At home?
Okay.
Lunchroom? Cafeteria?
When they go to school, they sit down.
5.
Class?
Yes.
Chair, pupil, desk, what?
They should actually go to the classroom.
No, you failed. She didn't get it. A class is different from a classroom. So you have half point. So we are going to play one more time. I'm going to pick one and then we are done. Okay, so Angel, this time around, you picked just now, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'll pick.
You pick. Okay.
Ha.
Genge.
It's a Yoruba word.
And
And most times we go there every Saturday and we dance.
and
Oh, wait, yeah. Oh, exactly.
Angel is too good at this.
All right, so I think, who is speaking? You picked just now. Modupe.
Okay.
Okay.
Do we need to shuffle?
I did. Or
No,
did
she
I?
did
You're
already.
You're fine. You're fine.
She's fine.
Okay,
You're fine.
all right, let's go. Let's. Okay, it's a place where people go to keep their money.
Ah, come on.
Bank.
Yes, ma. Yes, yes.
So,
good.
so
Yeah.
it's a draw. So thank you so much.
Yeah,
We've come to the end of the show. But before we go, Angel,
Okay. Have you enjoyed what you watched today? Did you have fun? Would you like to see this program on air? Would you like to continue to see it spread across different TV stations? Then you can partner with us. With your sponsorship, we can produce more programs. We can do so much more. Just get in touch with us. The contact will be on your screen, and let's do it together.
that was awesome. Thank you. All right, so we have a culture where we get to, first timers get to sign our throw pillow.
Yep. Here is it. Oh.
Wow.
Okay.
It's a humongous throw pillow.
Yes, it is.
What color?
Red?
Green.
Please
Red,
speak.
red.
That's fire.
Red, yeah. Fire. The blood of Jesus. Okay. So I get to sign. Why
Yes,
is it
you
just
do.
signing? Why can't I like write
You want
and
to fill
write?
the hole?
Yeah, you know, like I'm a writer, you know.
My God.
Okay, all right. Okay, focus. All right. Okay, I was here. Never forget me.
All
Okay.
right. Thank you.
Thank you.
I
So
can drop this
we
here.
have Angel.
Oh,
Angel,
that's true.
this is your
Oh.
first time on the show, right?
There you go.
Thank you.
She wants the green. Okay, she's using the green.
Yeah, right.
So I'm going to write Angel Time. There's only one.
There's only one. There are two.
Only one.
I see someone with the king is here. You didn't tell me I
Angel
could write
time.
like
There's only
write
one.
right.
This is
Let
good.
me help you out.
Okay.
Thank you so
All
much.
right.
So,
Yeah.
as we always do, our selfie.
Okay.
Okay, Abby, you're gonna help with the selfie this time around.
So do we get to stand? Or
No, I
how
think
do
you
we-
would. You'd stay
No,
here.
feel free.
Just join here.
All right, all right,
Okay.
all right.
Okay.
Will the chair take us all? Will the chair take us all? Take us all.
Okay. I have no idea whose one. This one is not.
Can we scoot in?
Angel,
Okay.
let's use,
Yes, let me-
use Angel's phone.
Okay.
Is it on?
Yes.
All right.